Welcome, everybody. Today, we're talking about digitalization in process industry, and our guest is Mr. Eckard Eberle of Siemens AG. He's the CEO of Process Automation. Mr. Eberle, thanks for joining. We're going to zero in on a couple of industry, perhaps the food and beverage, one of them. And I know we started with that on individualization is one of the most important trends in food and beverage, at least so we're hearing. Manufacturing have to react to faster to increasing social diversity, new lifestyle needs, consumer habits, taste, preferences. How does Siemens help this manufacturing adopt? And would you please give us a couple of examples?
The need from the customer side is going to be being more flexible, being faster, but also having differentiated product offerings. And I think if you think this back, this has an impact on how you design your products, how you confectionize your product by means of the recipes, and how you transport this into production. And we did this, and we're going to show this on the SPS fair this year, I think very nicely with an example, with a showcase. It's called cold brewed coffee, where exactly this comes to life, where the customer can select the flavor, what he wants to drink, and then the recipe is going to be changed. And I think this is something then can be produced, and this all is going to be somehow done why we call it in general bringing the virtual and the real world together.
Maybe elaborate a little bit on this, just on some updates on the process automation standardization, and perhaps if AI plays any role there. That would be very helpful.
One thing, what I just said, is flexibilization, individualization. This needs not only a change in the automation piece, it needs also a change in the process part of the production. And we see this for quite a while, that our customers in the food and beverage and also pharmaceutical industries, to a certain extent in the specialty chemical as well, that we are going to smaller modular plants with different modules in the plant itself, which can be combined. So you create some kind of a flexible production ability where you can, in different ways, combine the different units, even extend the different units in scaling up. And this modular approach needs some kind of standard. And I think this is what we started with the German Association of the Process Customers very, very well in already 2013-14, where we said we needed some kind of a standard because in the future there will be modules completely automated, and there will be a supervisory and orchestration layer on top, and they have to talk to each other. And so the modules are coming maybe from different OEMs, so they maybe have even different automation equipment in. So it was important to create a language to make sure that these modules can talk to each other, but also to this orchestration layer. And this is what we call MTP, module type package, which makes sure that you have a unified language, which allows the end customer, the end user in the plant, really to have different ways of automating, but making sure that this is fitting everything together. And this makes the flexibility for the production very well. And I think this is something which is very exciting. We see this in quite some of the customers going to be evolved, either this be in the pharmaceutical industry with companies like Merck, or also BioNTech, where we are working together with them.
Thanks. And while we're on the topic of pharmaceutical, I want to get back to something else on this, but I wanted to maybe, if you could elaborate on BioNTech, how you produce vaccines. I think it's very crucial so people understand that in your facility in Marburg, and what are the main technologies they use, and perhaps how long did it take to ramp that production? That would be helpful.
Yeah, and I think this was a very special one, because the challenge was, and I think you're aware, and the audience might be aware, this was a big challenge to be very fast. So I think from the first thought, BioNTech said they're going to create a vaccine out of mRNA to really have a product available. It was a topic of months. So then the question was how to make it producible, because I think in the past this would cost years. So what was there? They were taking and they were acquiring a plant from another company where they were having installations available, but this needed to be changed towards the needs what they have. And usually for such kind of projects, we needed 12, 13, 14 months. So we were able to do this in 5 months. So this was very exciting. And for sure, it was a high motivational factor. The teams were working very well together. And I think this is something what we see more and more as a trend, that agile teams are collaborating and driving things forward. It was the major driver that we had people which knew about the plant. They have been working there before. But it was also very important that we were able in a very short time with digital tools like a layer, an MES layer, what we were putting on top in order to make sure that we could have a complete paperless documentation, FDA regulated in order to make sure that we will be able to produce this. And I think this was something very exciting, and it was a good success.
Can you elaborate on what will be the next step on with the BioNTech?
I think the BioNTech is going to be a very interesting case, because you see that vaccination hasn't been covered all over the world. There might be many places where production is needed. And I think this cries also for some kind of have a local presence of producing. So our plan is to go together with BioNTech over the world and bring the places where we can develop on the vaccination and help them to produce very fast. So we learned a lot in Marburg. So now we are able to be even faster in ramping this up and bring in a stable process.
Appreciate you sharing with that. That's a subject very, very dear to me for multiple perspectives. But I wanted to switch a little bit of conversation on the Siemens presence during SPS every year. You have a big presence. I've been part of a couple of times. Why should manufacturing visit your booth and follow some of the sessions that you have during the event? If you can elaborate, I know you mentioned a little bit the brew coffee, customized brew coffee type of demo, but what else can we expect there?
So I think you can expect everything what we have in our portfolio, but it's very exciting because we drive a lot of activities all around this digital enterprise piece, from the planning over the designing, but also for the production itself. And this also materializes then in the different portfolio elements. I mean, beyond that we are always showing a lot of portfolio elements, products, hardware on that. There are a lot of cases which show very, very vivid, I think, what we are doing with the topic of flexibilization. As I said in this showcase, there will be software tools, applications which we will show. We will talk about artificial intelligence, because I think this is something which will be even more driving performance, availability, flexibility in production. But other topics which are going to be also very relevant in the industry in the future is like digital connectivity, like 5G, industrial Wi-Fi. The next level of Wi-Fi 6 is coming. So we are always very proud to have our customers here, and usually we get a lot of positive feedback in this regard. But maybe most important one, a lot of people want to see each other again live and not only via screen. So I think this is going to be something which is also very important in this fair, particularly in this year.
Stay tuned. If you're in the audience and you've loved what you heard, please leverage the hashtag and ask more questions for Mr. Eberle or his team in Germany and global team, I should say. Thank you, Mr. Eberle.
Welcome.